What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to Lineman Live Live. I am your observer, Lineman Uche Nwaneri, and this is my co-host, Justin Blaylock.
What it do?
And we are the linemen of Lineman Life. Now, today, we got some things we're going to talk about. Now, obviously, a lot of things going on in the world right now. We all know that. A lot of serious things going on, a lot of changes that, are being seen in regards to, the rights that
Welcome from 1955.
But we're saying hi from 1955. It's Lineman Live.
Need like a corny ass theme song or something.
So, obviously the big story in really national news, and of course you're going to get reactions from all over the entire societal spectrum of the United States, with the Roe v. Wade decision being turned back by the Supreme Court, which has now given the states the lead on deciding how they'll move forward with allowing for an abortion. Now, of course, the firestorm that is brewing around this is the fact that this is a court decision that has been in place and reaffirmed multiple times by different Supreme Courts over 50 years. And, I think, at least for me, in that regard alone, rolling it back, regardless of what the opinions of the judges are, rolling it back after 50 years where it's been challenged and it's been upheld, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's kind of breaking the system to a certain extent. And then on top of that comes the issue of, so now you can tell me what I can do with my own body? It does become a bit of it becomes a real slippery slope.
Especially after last year, or the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Where everyone's like, oh, no way in hell you're going to tell me what I can do, what I have to do.
I was hearing my body, my choice from people who were mad about having to wear masks for a little while. Not even like, yo, you ain't even got the right to decide no more forever. It's going, it's a bit of a mess here in the United States right now. I'll just say that much. It's a bit of a mess. So
it's like Cancun's looking real good right about now.
Text messages I was getting from the wife about, hey, we need to get the hell up out of here. I'm like, hey, I said we got a 5-year plan. We got 5 years to figure this shit out, America.
Oh,
5 years. And if in 5 years y'all can't figure this shit out and figure out whether or not, freedom is really applied to people in an equal manner, and we can at least agree on, compromising as a society on things that we don't necessarily agree on. Hey man, I have to find me somewhere else to live. Shit. But again, with this situation in particular, you're going to get reactions from all over the spectrum of society. So with the NFL, of course, there has been a response. Now, this response and this opinion comes from someone that a lot of people have garnered a lot of respect for in a very short time that he's been in the NFL. Joe Burrow, who is now going into his third season as a quarterback in the NFL, a very young, very highly respected player already at this point. He has come out and he's actually given his opinion, posted on his Instagram. We're going to take a look at it right here. We'll talk about it as well. And it says here, this is Ben Baby, who is reporting this, says Bengals QB Joe Burrow shared this post on Instagram about the Supreme Court's ruling in the Dobbs case on abortion. So before we even get into this, because there's two sides to this, and you got to be respectful of both sides. And I've been on. Look, everybody's been on Twitter setting fire to the fucking castle. Everybody on Twitter has been raging, and it's been raging one way or raging the other way. It's been, there's literally two sides to this coin that a lot of people have had their opinions out there in the void of Twitter. And this is probably one of the more tension-filled times in this platform that I've seen since I've been on it. And, you know,
I mean, there's really nothing.
I mean, I know you just kind of came back into Twitter the last like 6 months or so, right? So,
right. I mean,
how you feel about like just what you've been seeing this weekend?
I mean, no one can be poignant and thoughtful enough to make everyone just go like, "Oh wow, I didn't consider that." You're just gonna get.
I think people are dug in. I think people are dug in. They're entrenched.
You're not changing your mind no matter what anybody says. If it's your favorite athlete, if it's someone you never heard of, if it's a pundit, head, like that's not.
Yeah, nobody has actually changed a person's mind in all of this verbal jousting that's been going on. There has not been one person who has actually been like, yeah, you know what? You make a great fucking point. I think I'm going to switch my stance on it. No, nobody. There has not been one. I've been looking. I even tried a couple people. I even tried a couple. They was like, ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way.
Probably exactly how they said it too.
So before we even get into this, let me just say, we are not trying to change your mind on what you think. We're here to give you our perspective, you know, as athletes who have, you know, look, I won't front. Before in my younger days, you know, I dated a chick back in the day and she got pregnant and she wanted to have an abortion. And I was like, cool. I was like, all right.
Not gonna stop you.
You know, and this was back when I'm like a rookie in the NFL. So like, I'm damn sure was not even like thinking about getting into that. And she took birth control. She was on birth control and it still happened. So, you know, it was a situation where we're about the same age. We're both like 23, 24.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a question to her. And I didn't have no problem with it because, you know, we liked each other, but we don't know each other enough to really be like, yes, we're going to make this unbreakable bond between ourselves because of, you know, her getting pregnant.
Right.
Even though we may end up hating each other in 6 months, we may not in 10 months, we may not even have anything in common in that regard. Like, you know, it's a life-altering decision, regardless of how you look at it.
Either way.
Either way, yeah. Like I didn't, you know, look, I'm not the same person. I'm a different person now than back then. But I'll tell you right now, like back then, as a young man, like a younger man, 23, I didn't think about that for a second after we got it done. It didn't affect me mentally at all. Now I won't say that it was the same for her because I do not know, but it didn't appear to be because we knew that this was not what we wanted. It just happened to happen. And she was on birth control. So it didn't, you know.
Right. Like clearly y'all both didn't want that. So
yeah, she had already made a decision to control that aspect of her reproductive life. And, you know, me trusting that what she told me and seeing that she has birth control and she's been taking it, you know, we went all in. So, and it just happened to happen. So I'm not, you know, going to sit here and judge any woman who decides that they want to live their life and achieve their goals and decide that something like that may not be for them at that particular point in time. I feel like if technology gives us the ability to do it, and then it must be our right to be able to do it to a certain extent.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, with all that being said, not trying to change anybody's position here. Yeah, just trying to give you our perspective. We're going to go through this post from Joe Burrow, and then we'll commentate some more on it after the fact. So, says here, Joey B _9 verified 3 hours ago. He says, I'm not pro murdering babies. I'm pro Becky, who found out at her 20-week anatomy scan that the infant she had been so excited to bring into this world had developed without life-sustaining organs. I'm pro Susan, who was sexually assaulted on her way home from work, only to come to the horrific realization that her assailant planted his seed in her when she got a positive pregnancy test a month later. I'm pro Teresa, who hemorrhaged due to a placental abruption, causing her parents, spouse, and children to have to make the impossible decision of whether to save her or her unborn child. I'm pro little Kathy, who had her innocence ripped away from her by someone she should have been able to trust, and her 11-year-old body isn't mature enough to bear the consequence of that betrayal. So there you have Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has stepped into the public sphere and given his opinion on a political matter that I would argue is really a health matter that has been turned into a political matter, that has been turned into a political cornerstone for some. But he has come out and showing that he is actually pro-choice. Now, he has caveats to his stance and his perspective, and that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I agree with everything he says here. I think that it's callous to not afford someone a choice when there are extenuated circumstances that may have made this a gray area, a not so black and white thing. Are there people out there who have abortions, multiple abortions, because they have made bad judgments and who they're dealing with? Sure.
Tons of those.
Yes, there are. And I'm sure there are a lot of them. But again, it comes down to this. If we develop the technology that allows us to do it,
so,
it's fair game for everyone to do
it.
Right,
you can do it for this, but not for that. So I mean, that's where we're headed, it seems like.
And I mean, there's restrictions on it. But again, even at that, it's like, how do you restrict somebody from deciding what to do with their body? That's where now, if somebody came to me and said, hey, would it be fair to you to say, hey, you can have an abortion from up to 15 weeks. And at that point, once you get to 15 weeks, it's only in medical emergency that it's allowed. I would say, yeah, that's fine.
Think about it, but I mean, that's a pretty small window. So what do you find
15
out?
weeks, I mean, at 15 weeks, right?
Oh, you definitely know. But I don't think you know until, well, I guess it's different.
Probably like eight, let's say 8 weeks. Let's say
like 8 to 10. So
8 to 10 weeks you figure out. I'd say you got to get people, okay, let's be.
About a month. That's fair.
In a perfect world, I would say you got to give them 2 months to figure it out. That's what I would say. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of things have to be considered.
Yeah.
And that's if you're just in a normal situation. Now,
there's a lot of moving parts. That's what, a healthy relationship between, two partners.
Between two parents, between two individuals who are trying to get pregnant.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
let it be
that's a 2 month span from the moment that, they find out, and you would assume that it'd be around 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
You give them that space and you say, hey, you know what? Y'all haven't until, let's say, before the end of the second trimester to figure out what y'all want to do. Because the third trimester, now you're dealing with, at this point, the development of the baby in the womb is gotten to a point where the nervous system's in place. And it can start,
survive outside. Also,
23 weeks they can start surviving outside of the.
That's right about that time.
Yeah, so that's like leading right into the last, like, what, 9 weeks?
Yeah, you're in the home stretch.
So. And again, we're not women and we're not doctors. We don't know all the details, but when you're trying to be fair about it, you got to, you look at it and you have to give them some space to work in to figure out what their next move is going to be.
Right.
I don't agree that there should be a ban on it, because that's providing an absolute and something where there's too many variables to be able to call that a fair situation.
I mean, these are just, 4 situations. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty more. I mean, hell, you can just wake up one day and, make the decision if you really want to. But I mean, These 4 seem to be perfectly, I mean, perfect's the wrong word, but absolutely legit, like, hard decision. I mean,
it's a personal decision.
The one that has
it's personal. It's personal.
That too. And
it's deeply personal for people, man. I mean,
people, getting death threats and having to, oh my goodness, just even the way it was before, this last week. It takes a hell of a lot bigger person than me to go through all the shit they do. In some places, it's you just walk in, not just walk in, but you can get things done that are
same day operation. You know what I mean? Like, and that's and the majority of those are people who are in like the early stages.
Yeah,
like you're talking about a sack of water with cells in it. Like when I with the person that I was with when she had hers. We went to the clinic and they explained every little detail about what is happening, where you're at, what you're doing. And I mean, it's full transparency at this clinic. And I'm like, I walked in there and I was like thinking to myself, man, this is going to be crazy when I walk in here because, we're coming from, we're going in the building and right across the street is all these people with signs. All these people, all these protesters who were like, God hates you, blah, 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 blah. Which we didn't give a fuck about none of it. We were like, we damn near was like,
like come see me when I'm done with this shit.
But this is the thing, man. Like we walked in there and then then it became real. And I was like, damn, well, what's going, how is this going to play out? Like, what exactly are they going to do? And, I didn't get to go into the room with her, but they brought out information and I sat there and read all of it. And I was like, so this is just a sack of water. It's basically a sack of water with a few cells in it. Nothing is even like, it hasn't even really begun the process of, the process of being an actual entity is still like 10 or so weeks away, 12 so weeks away. Like it's not even like close. It's just a cell with a sack of an egg with water and cells in it. That's all it is at that point, for her.
Right. Yeah.
So, for me, that was like, okay, well, you're actually just stopping the process before it gets started. Right. You're just stopping it at this point before it really even gets rolling because it don't get rolling until like week 8, week 9. So it was, that took a lot off my chest because I was like, I'd always been for a woman to be able to make the choice.
Sure.
But that was the first time I ever was in the situation and then had to actually face the decision itself. And that did put my mind at ease because it was like, okay, well, we figured this out quick. The decision was made quick and we got it done. And we still were friends after that for a long time. I mean, we still were kind of, we still were cool. Like it wasn't a thing where that broke our relationship, but it was, it was much less melodramatic than I thought it was going to be.
Well, it'd be a little
my situation.
A little tougher if you could, look at an ultrasound and see, little Uche face.
Yeah, if I could see like a head or some shit and no, it wasn't none of that. It wasn't no heartbeat, wasn't no nothing. There was nothing developed.
Nothing to see. Yeah. Like there's
what I mean?
The blob of,
so it was it was an enlightening situation. It was stressful, but it was enlightening at the same time. And for me, I felt like if this was a world where she didn't have the choice and it was like we already knew it like 5.5, 6 weeks, and she has no choice in the matter. She has to carry it. We don't even know each other like that. Right. You know what kind of derailment that is for both of our lives?
Both of y'all, yeah. Stop it. Stop.
We don't even know each other. There's no guarantee that we're even like compatible at that point. We've known each other for like a few months.
Yeah. It's gonna be. It's bleak, but it's gonna be a lot of. Like. Brenda's got a baby,
And let's take the morality part out of it. Even like let's take the morality part out.
Practically,
and let's look at the practical. Now you already have a population there's too many of us here as it is. We know this from a scientific standpoint, from an ecological, from an economic standpoint. We know that we are overpopulated as a species, period. We're overpopulated. and that's causing as many deaths, if not more, than you could say abortion does. And at the end of the day, come hook or crook, somebody's going to find out a way to stem the tide of the overpopulating of the earth, because there's what in our world, there's about 40% of our planet, and population wise, there's about 40% of our planet that have to deal with like droughts and starvation.
Right. Yeah. If we don't handle it,
at least 1 month out of the year, every year.
Yeah. The earth will take care of it if we don't. So
the earth will take care of it if we don't. So there are people who will say, oh, well, you know, abortion was brought in because of racism, and this woman who, I forget the names, but there's a woman who was the founder of Planned Parenthood, and you know, there's the whole theory that it was used as a way to stem the population of like black people, but it wasn't just available to black people. It was available to everybody.
About to say, everyone has access.
Everyone had access, so it wasn't like, you know, this was and look, and again, you take the morality of it, and it does seem harsh, but to a certain extent, it literally gives the population the ability to control the population. And you have countries out there where they'll put you in prison if you have more than one kid.
Yeah.
Because they overpopulated. So it does, you know, it does in a way, it does kind of, there is a balance that can be found due to the fact that we're a population as a whole in the world, that we as a species, there's too many of us. There has been too many of us. So, you know,
it affects a lot of stuff. I mean, because of the population, we have to alter the way that we farm and, you know, provide food.
There's a reason why fructose, why high fructose corn syrup is our sugar now.
Right. That's less than ideal for, you know, the actual human body. We're having to do all these things to speed up the process, make these chickens that look like fucking bodybuilders.
That's why and look, there's a part of, and not to cut you off, brother, but there's a part of our population growth and our population situation as a species that you can attribute to the food we eat that's jacked up with steroids, that gets people, that triggers puberty 3 years earlier than it used to. And now you've got kids that are younger having sex at an earlier age, putting them at risk to get pregnant and to, you know, be kids having kids. So there's so many things that are unaccounted for in this decision that really are factors in why we're heading the way we're heading as a species. But also, you know, when you look at America more specifically, these are things that aren't necessary to actually like decide whether or not abortion is going to be something that happens in America, because it will continue to happen, and we'll continue to cut the programs that support the kids that are being born, as we've been doing, because like they say, once the kid is born, nobody gives a fuck.
Oh yeah, they're just pro-birth, not pro-life.
They just pro-birth. They ain't pro-life. And actually like a livable, comfortable life. They're not for that.
Once you get here, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Did you see Sarah Huckabee today, or maybe yesterday?
Oh my goodness! When she had the little comment saying, "We want our kids to be as the most vulnerable, to be as safe as our kids are in school," or some shit. And it was like, that was on the same day that the Uvalde kids got massacred. So what you just said is literally incorrect.
They just want to get you here, so that cycle can begin again. They keep you underfoot and just keep getting the. You know,
and you know, again, man, I mean, it's like it never ceases to amaze me how quickly we can say one thing as Americans while we literally are doing everything counter to that moral high ground that we're trying to take. You know, our politicians have they're looking to get welfare out of here, period. They're looking to get your Social Security out of here, period. They want your 401k money so that they can pay for their tax cuts with it. I mean, that's what we've seen happen.
Yeah,
that's what they propose. That's what they've proposed for 30 years, to try and get Social Security defunded. Like, what? Get Medicare defunded. Like, all these systems that have been put in place by people who are smarter than them. FDR with our entire social safety net system. FDR came up with that during World War II to protect the people, to protect the society. And these are things that people are trying to get rid of now. These are things that are actually a right at this point. Once you've had it long enough, it's a right. It doesn't matter if the Constitution says so or not. It's a right. So, you know, if this is what this is how we're gonna look at things, then there's gonna be a lot of things you thought that were your rights that are gonna no longer be your right because it wasn't in the original Constitution. Let's think about it for a second.
They got some other shit coming down the pipe.
They not done, and that's really the fucked up part of this whole thing. They are telling you to your face.
This is just the first domino
for gay marriage.
This is just the first domino.
We coming for being gay, period.
Yeah.
We're going to make it illegal for you to even be gay.
Coming for all contraception.
Contraception? You ain't even going to be able to wear no condoms no more. Ain't going to exist.
Can't even pull out. It's going to be somebody watching you fuck.
You know what I mean? Like
nope, do that in. We're coming for interracial marriage
right now. It's like, where are we going? What is the end game here? Because if you want to even look further than that, there's a lot of shit they can roll back. And look.
I mean, if you got Hulu, go watch Handmaid's Tale.
The hand, you know what I mean? That's what my wife texted me. She was like, we got to get out of here because it's turning into the Handmaid's Tale in this motherfucker. And I don't want to be a part of this, and I don't want our daughters to be a part of this. I got 2 girls. And I'm like, shit, you know, it's fucked up. You don't have the same rights I got no more. Like, you have less rights as a woman than I do.
Parents and grandparents did.
Which is crazy, man. I mean, I don't think anybody wants that to be the country that we live in. I mean, we all have our perspective on this, but I think we can all agree that we don't want people to live in a country where truly everybody is not equal from a right standpoint at all. There is no controlling of a man's reproductive organs in this country.
You could never do that.
They're not going to ban Viagra no time soon.
Never.
They're not going to force you to get a vasectomy at a certain age. It's not going to happen. Period. So then why are we doing this? They say, oh, you're killing baby. No, it's not. A zygote is not a fucking baby. That's just science. It's not. So then it comes to, oh, what are you saying this for? Because, oh, that's what you believe because of what? Oh, because of your religion.
That we keep separate. You know what?
I believe our founding fathers had something to say about that. They was like, yo, you keep that shit out of lawmaking, period.
If y'all want to be all up in the Constitution.
If you want to talk about what the Constitution really talking about, keep religion out of lawmaking. That is exactly what they said. And they said, if you don't do that, you're going to fuck this country up. Because not everybody's going to have the same beliefs. And even if you have the freedom to express, you have the freedom to believe in whoever you want to believe in. You have the freedom to pray to whoever you want to pray to, but you don't have the freedom to make what you pray to and the ideals you pray behind law for everybody else. That is not how this works. I think that is where there is a huge issue right now because people are saying it out in the open. They've been saying it in the open for years. Like, they want this kind of situation. They want abortion to be rolled back because they believe it goes against their faith. No, it has nothing to do with anything else because scientifically we can prove that ain't no baby until a certain point.
Exactly.
So what do you want? I bet, and there's another case here that I think it's good that we can talk about this as well because, well, you know what? Before we get there, let's look at some other perspectives on this.
Well, we say all this to say, go vote, people. Go fucking vote.
Vote is like
now more than ever. Otherwise,
I just think that our politicians are cowards. So
rational.
Nobody's willing to do what's necessary to be right instead of being funded. Be right instead of having worry about your donations. Worry about doing the right thing. And I don't think we have that in this country anymore because it comes down to how much are they donating to your party, and then how much are they putting in your pockets, and that's it. That's all that matters to these motherfuckers now. So morality even doesn't mean anything to them because it's only morality when it's convenient to be morality.
Yeah. Or this guy took care of me on this project over here. I got this some money diverted to my state for this, so now I gotta help him out on this other thing. Cash in favors.
And then we have this motherfucker here, who I can't stand. I mean, I almost said I hate this cat when I was texting you earlier. I said I very much dislike this motherfucker.
Dude, Taylor Lewan. Who was the other one? Warren Sapp.
Taylor Lewan, Warren Sapp, and Jason Whitlock. They're the fucking trinity of hate that I have. Trinity of hostility from me. Jason Whitlock. Now, see, this is so what you know what I don't like in this social space that we're in now with social media and all this. And I don't even think it's social media. I think it's more about just the personalities that you deal with and these people who don't know how to take a loss or how to concede a fair point when there's a fair point that's been made. That's what I have a huge problem with. And I think when I look at this post here, Jason Whitlock says, I think most of us are pro the woman Joe Burrow referenced on his Instagram. Tragic stories. I would like to respectfully ask Joe Burrow if he is pro Adrian Broner. Quote, I would have 30 babies if not for abortion. It's not safe, legal, and rare. It's more convenient and irresponsible. I mean, I read something like that. And I'm like, and I think to myself, who gives a fuck?
Right.
Like, who cares what your opinion is on on whether they're responsible or not? He's actually doing himself. I mean, look, and of course he's being there's hyperbole there. I mean, this is not. He's not saying legitimately I would have had 30 kids right now. He's saying, man, I would have had a lot more kids if I didn't have this option. And who knows what that would have done for his career and his life if he didn't have the ability to have that choice to be able to make with his partner.
Right. Like, 100% with you. I mean, it's
come on, like
one post, you get, 1 page worth of, you're not trying to write a fucking dissertation about, every reason that all 170 million women could possibly think about an abortion for. That's not what he's trying to do. He's just giving you a couple examples.
He's just giving you an anecdotal fucking example off of hyperbole, and he's asking you to make a decision on whether or not you're for something when it comes to this and when it's not that. So he's essentially moved the goalpost.
Every single letter of my post. Like, of course, there's people that fall outside of what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Like it's never just everybody has the same reason.
Based on what Adrian Broner is doing ever. You've already
living their life based on him.
If you're living your life based on this cat, you're fucking up.
Then you cooked, like he would say. You cooked.
If you follow his advice for anything besides jabs and hooks,
I wouldn't even follow his advice for jabs or hooks. You see what happened to him the last time he fought?
Damn.
He can't afford to have no more kids.
He got knocked out the fucking ring, didn't
he? He got knocked clean out.
So yes, thank you, Jason Whitlock, for the obvious. That there are people that aren't doing it for the most honorable reasons, but okay. That's going to be everything.
Look, you're going to always have people who are doing it because that's their way of just taking care of the issue and not having to deal with it. But at the end of the day, it's still the same. Contextually, they're not killing a baby. they are removing a cell that's fertilized or cell that has been injected with an egg that has been injected with cells that has not even begun to create itself. They're removing that so that they don't get to the point where it starts developing a baby. I mean, that's just how I see it. You know, I mean, there may be people out there who don't agree, and hey, they're fully within your right to disagree with me. But the science does not disagree with me when I say that. So again, it comes down to morality, and morality is only to be considered within reason. And I think within reason is where you get to like late term abortions. That's where you're having to decide where a fully pretty much developed child, which is ready to be delivered, if there's a situation where the mother's life is going to be in danger, where she could potentially die, then you're making an even tougher moral decision. And it can be that's traumatic to me. I think that would be more traumatic to a woman than, you know, having an abortion when she's 8 weeks pregnant. I think it's fair to say that. Now, I think that I think the late terms are very, 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 very rare, like extremely rare, like not something that happens even remotely regularly. But, you know, I think that I think the majority of people in this country realize that this is a health option, a health service that women should have the ability to have access to. And I think that's you know, it's good enough a spot to leave it in regards to that, just because, I mean, we'd just be going in circles. But I do think that, you know, I wish we could have somebody else with a polar opposite position to be on here to speak with us about it. But, you know, I think that I really don't think that this is a matter of what the people want, because the people are pretty much almost in consensus with this. I think it's like, what, 80% almost 80% of people believe that abortion should be a service that women have access to. Now, there's different levels of that within that 80%, whether they think it should be, you know, different restrictions at different times. Sure. I mean, I think there's going to be space in there for people to have arguments about that as well. But at the end of the day, they do believe that the service should be available. So I think the question, you know, it begs the question, why is the minority, the literal minority of our population, allowed to be given so much control over what it is the rest of us are able to do? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And these justices, these Supreme Court justices who lied under oath, who all of them specifically announced that they respected that Roe v. Wade was settled law, which that means something. When you say settled law, that means it's no longer up for debate. They all took an oath and were under oath when they made those statements. And here we are, less than 2 years after that.
On the bench when this was upheld before.
Yeah, Clarence Thomas in
so what happened this time around?
Clarence Thomas was there. Like,
although I suppose he probably descended before as well.
Look, hey man,
I'm not
I'll
sure.
tell you what, you know,
hey, they coming for his ass next. He married to a woman.
He don't even realize that. He don't even understand what he was about to happen. Look, and this is me looking forward. So you can call this a conspiracy theory in my regard. I remember when Clarence Thomas was appointed to the Supreme Court. I was like maybe 9 or something like that. But I remember it because my parents always watched the news when I was little. So we didn't have no other TVs to watch anything else. So I'm watching what they're watching. So there was the whole situation with the sexual harassment with him and all that. And he eventually got appointed. You know, if you kind of go through his timeline as a Supreme Court judge, fuck, this dude is insane. I think he has a very twisted understanding of what the purpose of the Constitution is. And this is where my issue comes into play with how they're using this excuse of it was the Constitution had said nothing about this, so it's not a right. And I'm thinking to myself, well, it said nothing about me being. It said that I was a 3/5 of a human.
Boy.
It said we were 3/5 human. We had no right to be able to vote. And we had no right to be able to be citizens. That's not in the it's not in the Constitution that we should be allowed to be citizens. But that was something that was changed through an amendment for the betterment of the country, and that took what 200 years? Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, that took like 200.
Maybe it's time to consider like this document isn't the end all and be all to life.
Look, I have a ton of respect for the Constitution as it was put together with the intent and the idea that was behind it.
They did the best they could.
The founding fathers were onto something. It was a new style of government, and they were onto something. But even they were like, we don't really know. We ain't got all the answers, so we're gonna say that you can change this. Anytime you feel like time is changing and things are changing, you can change this to match the times. That's the point of it. That's why Thurgood Marshall called it a living, breathing document, because it isn't meant to be changed. It was designed to be changed. It was designed to evolve, because he cannot imagine that 1776 or 1783 or 86, whenever it was ratified, you cannot imagine that the world will be the same in 200 years. They fought with muskets. It took 2 minutes to load one round.
Molly.
What do you think they meant when they said everyone should be able to bear arms? It meant everybody should be able to use their musket,
right?
Because because we scared that the British might come back.
Yeah, I mean, if you got a direct hit, you're still just like, oh, let me take this out myself. It's not blowing an arm off.
Like, do you think that these cats imagined that we would start domestically having weapons that could do as much damage as their most sophisticated weapons of that time with ease? You can realistically kill 100 people in 5 minutes with a double-sided, I wouldn't say 100, my math's off there, but you can kill multitudes of people in short amount of time with one double-sided clip for an AR-15 with 32 rounds on each side.
Yep.
64 people can be dead within 5 minutes. No problem. They didn't have the capability of that back then when they said you have the right to bear arms through a well-regulated militia. And somehow the term well-regulated is forgotten at all times. The only phrase we hear is shall not be infringed. But let's think about this. That was said back when you could when you had the fire rate of one by one shot by 1 minute.
If you were good at it.
If you were good at it, and that ball bearing that you shot was only going like 200 feet, and then it's hitting the ground.
I think it was more inaccurate than a fucking Star Wars blaster.
You know what I mean? They're more inaccurate than fucking stormtroopers with that shit. And that was 240 years ago. So do you think if George Washington and the founding fathers were able to actually be here for 10 minutes and we could say, hey, what do you think about, hey, check out this.
Put me back on the ground. Nope.
They would be like, oh, hell no. What?
Put me back.
I find it hard to believe that the founding fathers would agree with the way that the Second Amendment has been handled since the inception of the Second Amendment. I do not believe that they would agree with it, because it would be mind-blowing to them. They would be like, are you seriously saying that people can have this gun and use this? Like, that's not what the fuck we were talking about. It wasn't. So, again, the Constitution, while I have a ton of respect for it, I think people need to understand they wanted us to change this shit as things progressed. They did not want us to be stuck in a static, rigid box of laws and rights, because they knew that the world would change. They knew it would. I mean, how could they not? They didn't think it was going to be the same forever. They knew it was going to change.
She was changing rapidly while they were alive.
It was changing while they were there. There was the battle over whether slavery was should have been a thing or not was already raging at that point. And you had people you had slaves who were standing next to these very men, fighting with them for the independence of the United States colonies. And once the war was over, you put them back in slavery. Come on, man. I mean, they knew that this was not going to be the way the world was going to be forever. So to me, it's to have such a stagnant perspective on what is legitimate in the eyes of the Constitution and what isn't from the Supreme Court. It just shows to me that they're missing the legitimacy, because it's not about what this society deems as natural rights. It's about what the founding fathers in their old Constitution deemed as legitimate rights, and that's not how things are supposed to be. I mean, that's just not how it's supposed to work. So I guess that's my rant for the day on that. So we'll move along. And okay, so now I see people in the chat. Okay, so now people in the chat are giving their thoughts on this. An unarmed society is an enslaved. You didn't even spell it right. See, this is something too. Come on, man. If you're going to come in here and talk about guns, which I mean, look, not to like call you out, but I'm looking at your profile pic. Spell enslaved right. That's all I can say. Spell it right. You're not even close. You don't have the D for past tense. There's no A in here. But he says an unarmed society is an enslaved society. Remember that when you give up your guns.
I mean,
just woke up, give me a break. No, you just okay. Well, you know what? You know what people who just woke up should do? Get your shit right before you come into the public forum and start talking. That's what you should have done.
Get you a coffee and get on the.
Get you a coffee. Get your shit right. Get your mind roll. Get the wheels rolling. You know what I mean? But
my bad.
I would say this to you. I mean, what do you think
the two gun owners
you are going to do? Huh?
So you're talking to two gun owners.
Yeah, I got guns. I got tons of guns. Do you know what I do know about my guns, though? It's not going to stop the U.S. military.
Oh,
if they decide to come get my shit, ain't nothing I can do.
Remember Harlem Nights where they,
you know what I mean?
Pew, pew, stop shooting that little motherfucker. If the government wants to come out and get me, that's what it's going to be like. Even all the guns I got.
Government, if the U.S. government decides tomorrow the Second Amendment is no longer valid and they cutting it off, they are going to send, and they're saying you got 6 weeks on this mandatory buyback program to give us your guns, or we're going to come get them. How are you going to stop them? They know where you are. They know what you're doing. They know what messages you sent out. They know who you're speaking to. They have infinite resources.
Freedom of
and they have, you know what I mean? They literally would roll over you and all your boys. You and all your boys would get rolled over. Come on, man, stop. That's why it's such a petty argument. You can argue for the Second Amendment as your right to defend yourself in your home and protect your castle and all that. And I'll be 100% with you, because that's what I think it's meant for, to protect my castle, to protect my space. But there ain't a goddamn thing I can do against the United States government, which will have air superiority, ground superiority, and sea superiority. If they decide that they're coming for these guns, they will have them. And there ain't nothing you can do.
They just push a button.
You know what I mean? They ain't even got to come get it from you. They send a drone to come get it from you. So let's be real. There's nothing that you can do. There's nothing you can do that will stop them from getting those guns if they really want them. And as much as motherfuckers have been crying about, oh, they're coming for our guns, I ain't seen them change nothing yet. We just had our first legislation passed on gun reform in 30 years. And it's the weakest shit I ever seen. You know what I mean? You may have an AR, but Uncle Sam got warthogs. Uncle Sam got warthogs and Master Chiefs everywhere. They gonna come get them. You ain't gonna stop them.
There's probably some shit we never even heard of that they got.
You know what I mean? They using laser technology now to put down unruly crowds. They'll do a heat laser that'll just make people just be like, you'll start throwing up. Like, yo, I'm out of here. I'm not even gonna mess with it.
We harnessing the power of the sun. Like, ain't no telling what they got.
They got all kinds, bro. They actually have camouflage. They have camouflage. They have like the camouflage shit from Halo where they put these pieces on their armor and it reflects, it like mirrors the light reflection. So it looks like they're hiding behind something. They're already there. I mean, if they really, the whole you can have guns thing is because it's a business to make money off of. You're not fucking touching the U.S. government if they decide they want those guns. They're going to come get them and there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. All these guys who run around with these guns and talk about all this militia shit, okay, half of them were at the Capitol on January 6th. They didn't even have their guns with them because they knew if they got caught with them, prison, done, because you were in the government's house over there. That entire district, D.C., you can't have no weapons up there. You can't be walking around with no guns. Period. So ain't even no Second Amendment there, basically.
Yep. I got nothing, defend myself from normal shit, but
yeah, I love my guns, man. I love going to the shooting range. Yeah. I love just like the click clack when everybody
like give my shit up, freely. But
you know what I mean?
If they say give them up or we coming to get them,
I'm gonna give them up. If they say give them up or we come pry them out your cold dead hands, I know they telling the truth because my hands, it will be pried out of my cold dead hands, and I'm not trying to die, so I'm gonna give them to them.
Because they will kill my black ass for a lot less than that.
You goddamn right they will. They will lay my ass down for reaching for that ID too quick.
Ooh.
Shoot, give them a reason. Or they'll make up one anyways and put it on the police report. Anyways, so that is that's our segment that's our political segment now down. But we also have another interesting story that's come up between former NFL running back Adrian Peterson, retired, I believe now, and Le'Veon Bell. Now, these guys apparently have signed contracts for a heavyweight boxing exhibition on July 30th at Crypto.com Arena, which, hey, isn't that in Los Angeles? Ain't that the Staples Center now?
Yeah.
Or that was the Staples Center, and now it's Crypto.com Arena?
The arena formerly known as the Staples Center.
They let that happen?
It's been that way for a while now. At least 2 years.
Sources tell Mike Coppinger Peterson and Bell will meet on the undercard of Social Gloves 2, an event promoted by YouTube star Austin McBroom. McBroom takes on fellow YouTuber Anason Gibb in the main event. Well, I mean, you look at these two players here, and I just think to myself, because I mean, I kind of know AP. We both got mutual friends, and we met each other a few times, but I do not know Le'Veon Bell at all. But I will say that these are two careers that are complete polar opposites of one another. That kind of look like they may have been, it may have been similar careers from the outset for one person. I mean, I know Le'Veon Bell was supposed to be a Hall of Fame level running back after his time, or during his time in Pittsburgh. That just kind of seemed like where he was going. He was going to be that next elite level running back. Pittsburgh Steelers. It seemed like he was destined to be that guy for Pittsburgh. I loved his running style.
Yeah. He was hell of a guy to watch. But
I loved his running style. I loved his patience. And, a running back.
He wasn't a burner by any stretch of the imagination, but, super productive. Could do it. True 3-down back, catch out of the backfield. Great anticipation, setup, a little hezzy.
Yeah. The dude had he had great vision, great patience, and he was a 20-yard burster. So he would get a burst in the box for 20 yards. And then you can, guys generally, sometimes he'd break out, sometimes you catch him, but it's It was a guy. There was so much, you know, and I blame Antonio Brown. I'm just going to be straight up. I blame Antonio Brown for Le'Veon Bell's career and for Juju Schuster-Smith's career. He poisoned those kids' minds, and they thought that their shit didn't stink, and they thought that they could bend the NFL to their will. And there's very few that can do that, and you ain't one of them. And Le'Veon Bell decided he was going to test the Pittsburgh Steelers' resolve, which to me showed that you don't even understand the history of that organization. You don't test the Pittsburgh Steelers' resolve as an organization because they have it. They have it in spades. And he decided to test that to try and, go for big money. And then even worse, which I know his mind was poisoned by AB because he did the same thing AB did. Yep. He decided, I'm going to be a rapper.
Oh my God. Yes, he did. Did he have a single come out? Or maybe even like an EP?
Yes, he did have some kind of him and oh my God, man, I couldn't believe it when I seen this cat. I said, you trying to be a rapper too, bro? Are you serious? He was going to be a rapper. And they played some video he put on either Twitter or Instagram of his first single. And I was just like, the Pittsburgh Steelers are literally laughing their asses off right now because they're going to be okay. You're the one who's gambling your career on thinking that you're that level of running back that Pittsburgh is going to have no choice but to pay you. And Pittsburgh was like, toodles. They were like, see your ass later. And now they got an even better back. Najee Harris.
I mean, all this was probably 3 to 5 years too late after the running back position had already started.
Yeah.
I don't want to say dwindling, but, being less impactful and certainly less
value. Its value on an offense plummeted. The running back's value on an offense plummets.
I mean, when we were kids, all the best players were running backs. Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders, all these cats were. That's what your team centered, focused on.
Yeah, the run game was first in everything. You have and look, that actually has not changed in the NFL. It's just that now the way that offenses are designed, they turn specific plays into run plays. So the quick swing pass, dump swing pass to the running back who's still in the backfield when he catches it. That's a run now. That's what they consider a run. But the run game, if the teams that win the most, even to this day, statistically, percentage-wise, are the teams that can run the ball well. The teams that can average 4+ yards a carry. They're the ones who actually still win. It hasn't changed. But Le'Veon Bell and Juju Schuster-Smith are the direct consequences of allowing a cancer. And this is, to me, has always been Pittsburgh's one mistake that I've seen from them in my lifetime, is their one mistake was allowing and covering up what was happening with Antonio Brown. He was literally poisoning the core of their team, and they allowed it to continue. And while they did cut him off at a certain point, the casualties of that were guys like Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
And that's huge because if you get a Le'Veon Bell who has the same mind state as, a Najee Harris, he's still in Pittsburgh right now. He's probably still in Pittsburgh. And Najee Harris, even if they may not even draft him, but if they did, Najee Harris is, probably sharing the load, but getting ready to take over in the next few years. But Le'Veon Bell's gotten his money by that point. He's gotten paid big, and he's been able to, maybe help them get to another run for a championship. You don't know. All these things are unknowns because of Antonio Brown.
Yep. I think Le'Veon Bell's still pretty young. In the grand scheme of things, not football young. Especially
still pretty young. But Le'Veon Bell at this point, he might as well be retired. No team wants it. No team gives a damn about having him anymore.
Oh yeah. Not even as a change of pace or third down.
No, he doesn't. That ability that he had is no longer exists within him.
And especially because his minimum would be
1.5.
Yeah, I was gonna say
1.5 minimum.
Hmm.
So it's a different situation for him. But Adrian Peterson, on the flip side of that, is
one of the best to ever do it.
Boom. Adrian Peterson is what happens when you don't worry about money, you just worry about playing. Adrian Peterson had the longevity that he had as a player. A lot of that came from the fact that he was a guy who coaches looked at the film, coaches talked to the coaches that he played with, and they said he's a reliable guy. And that's all they want. They know he's not, 12 years in, they knew he wasn't the AP no more. But He was still a solid running back option. And he still went, he was in Washington and got over 1,000 yards rushing.
I was about to say he played last year sparingly, but I think 2 years ago he was like the feature back for Washington.
Yeah, he was the feature back when he was in Washington. He was the feature back in Washington. And I gotta say that, I know him a little, not a lot, but I love what he did for the game as a player.
Yeah, I know him very well. Obviously, you went to OU and went to Texas. So
rivalry.
We played against each other for a while, and guys in the league cross paths. Not humble dude. You wouldn't think, he's anything but just a good old boy from Palestine, Texas.
Yeah, he's just a football. He's a football player through and through.
Tell he's a hard ass worker. To come back from 2 ACLs, I think.
Oh yeah.
And the year after he did his first one, he had like 2,000 yards. I think might have been one of his best years.
I know that because we're all the same. We were all the same class. We were all the same draft class.
Yeah.
I know that one year he got hurt late in the season. That allowed Mojo and us to get the rushing title. I was like, yeah. I think that was the first ACL. Because Mojo ended up with like 1,700 yards rushing, 1730, something like that. And if it would have been a much closer, it would have been a close race if AP didn't get hurt. I think he got hurt late in the season or second half, and he wasn't able to come back until too late to do anything, or he didn't come back. I can't remember exactly. But now they're gonna box, and I got to tell you right now, I can already tell you how this is gonna play out. Adrian Peterson gonna whoop his ass. Adrian Peterson is gonna whoop Le'Veon Bell's ass. Le'Veon Bell represents a different era of athlete and mentality. AP represents a different era of athlete. And AP's era that he represents, much more hard-nosed, much more willful to have physical violence brought upon them. So it is going to be a battle of wills, and I don't think Le'Veon Bell is going to have the same kind of will that somebody like Adrian Peterson would have as a competitor. Because look, like I said, Le'Veon Bell was okay with sitting out a year in Pittsburgh while he was still under contract, not playing. He was okay with that. Adrian Peterson would never have done that because he's a competitor and he wants to be out there. But he's also bigger than Le'Veon Bell. Longer arms. Come on, old man strength at this point too.
I'm gonna say Le'Veon Bell, he's a little gut on him too towards the end.
Le'Veon Bell been eating that lobster and shrimp. You know what I mean?
If I remember right, he was a fullback at Michigan State, and then converted to be a halfback.
So
he a couple years out of the league, he might be sitting around 240, 250.
Oh my goodness, he's gonna be looking like Sean Kemp look when they had the
since he was 5 years old.
Hey, AP has been shredded his whole life. He don't even lift and he's still shredded.
Exactly.
Leaf Upstad, $5 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says, thoughts on Chase Claypool calling himself a top 3 wide receiver in the league. I fear for whoever Claypool mentors next. Ooh, I saw that. Saw that.
Like the National Football League?
Yes. Chase Claypool. Let me pull it up just so that we got a visual on it. Let me pull it up real quick.
I mean, he's got like top 3 measurables, but that
the dude's
production hasn't really played out like that. But also, I mean, he's had the Twilight Ben Roethlisberger that could, barely throw it 20 yards. I mean, maybe he sees something in practice that we don't, but that doesn't, play itself out in the field.
I mean, look, my opinion, he ain't even the best receiver on the team. How you gonna be top 3 in the league if you ain't even the number 1 on your squad? And maybe we pull. Let me look at his stats. See here, Chase, Claypool stats. I mean, you better be over 1,200 yards receiving, or you really can't even talk if you ain't over 1,200 yards receiving on last season. Let's see here. Last season, he was at.
I mean, he's over 1,000. Oh, wait. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's why I was like, hold on now. Hold on. I'm looking.
I was looking at
regular season. He had 860 yards
on 59 catches.
59 catches. Oh man, come on, brother.
I mean,
come on, brother.
The offense was putrid.
It was putrid, but it wasn't much better the year before that, and he had way more. He had more yards then.
But now they got somebody with a live arm. Either Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett. One of those guys will be playing. Hopefully, they can push the ball down the field a little bit more than Ben was able to towards the end.
Yeah, of course, right? Of course. But what year is this for Chase Claypool?
This is 3?
He's got. So this is going to be his 3rd year coming up, right? 2020. Yeah, so his 3rd year's coming up. So he's got 2 years under his belt.
Basically, needs
2 years under his belt. 2 years under his belt. He has 1,700 yards receiving. So he's at about what? 800. This is his average right here. He's about there. That's about where he is. 800 yards a season. 860. Not only that, you bum, you came from Notre Dame. I don't give a fuck about you.
So to put it in comparison, the top 3 receivers in yards, just yards, number 3 was 1553. That's Davante Adams.
Whoa, what? Number 3 was damn near doubled what he got.
Yeah. 2 was 1616.
Let's take a look.
And Cooper Kupp was 1947. So got a ways to go before he gets.
I mean, bro, you shouldn't even have opened your damn mouth.
I mean,
you
can't even start talking about touchdowns.
I mean, this dude is really, where is this? Russian receiving. Boom. I mean, come on, bruh. Where you at, Chase? Where your name at on this list? Wow, 35. Did he play the full season? 15 games. 15 games. You played the full season, cuz.
Yeah, missing 2 games is, par for the course for receivers nowadays.
That's not enough. I mean, if you're a top 3 receiver, that ain't gonna change nothing for you.
Yeah, he should be well over 1,000.
It's funny.
Talking like this.
You're 140 yards from 1,000 on 105 catches. While let's take a look here. Let's just look at Deebo Samuel as 1. Deebo Samuel's number 5. He had 100. He had what? Roughly 16 more catches than you, and he has almost double, close to double what you had as a receiver in yardage, and he was getting used as a running back half the time.
Oh my goodness!
He was getting used as a running back. Jamar Chase, he had roughly 20 more catches than you, and he's at 1455. Our number 3 is Davante Adams, who many actually see him as the best receiver in the NFL.
Yeah,
pound for pound, best receiver, and he was at he still had what? He had 120. Okay, so hold on, I was looking at this wrong. He had 123 catches, Deebo Samuel had 77 catches.
Oh, wow.
He had less catches than you, Chase. Less. Jamar Chase had 81 receptions. So these guys are doing almost doubling you up with 30 less, with many less catches. Well, maybe 10 less catches.
It's also the type of receiver they are.
We had 59 catches. So
they're going to go out and, shit.
You were fucking pushing barely over 50% on your catches.
Yeah, he's looking more like a possession type receiver with those numbers. To have 860 on
Cooper Kupp damn near hit 2 racks.
I mean, these cats are getting like some serious, yak. Being shifty after the catch, making some things happen. It seems as though he just kind of catches it and falls down.
This guy had 800 after. You know what? This
yak is the same as his whole.
Cooper Kupp yak. He had as much yak as you had fucking receiving yards. Chase Poole, look at. He had. He was 14 yards short of your actual receiving numbers, my bro. And that was his yak. That was what he caught the yards after he caught the ball.
But you know what?
Rod Line 49. Admit it. The fight you really want to see is Morton Anderson versus Adam Vinatieri. That would actually be hilarious, seeing two kickers fight, because it would turn into a slap match, not even a fight.
Yes.
Woo! That boy Cooper Kupp. Come on now. Now he is actually the beneficiary of a loaded a really good receiving core. I won't say loaded, but really good receiving core. And he doesn't have to play on the outside. He usually plays in the slot, does he not?
I believe so, but he's bigger than your traditional slot. I think he's like 6'2".
This cat is big. He's 6'2". Woo! 6'2", 208. Look at this.
And he had 192 targets this year, so he was really getting.
He was getting the ball. That motherfucker was getting the ball. Well, I mean, they had what was it? Woods was hurt for part of the season.
OBJ
came in. OBJ wasn't really a factor like that, I don't believe.
Yeah,
he made some plays, but he wasn't. It wasn't. He's not OBJ no more. He's Odell.
Yeah, only in the Super Bowl was he starting to look like OBJ.
And as soon as he had to plant his feet in the ground, boom, knee went out, exploded, done. But Cooper Kupp balled out though. Real talk. Like I can't even front. Like I was because obviously we don't see the Rams like that here. So
yeah,
we didn't get to see a lot of his games.
Yeah, crazy single season numbers right there.
Oh yeah, dude. Like look at this shit. 145 targets. 191. Look at his completion percentage. 191 targets, 145 catches. He's sitting at around 75%, 80%. 1,947, 13.4 per. See, this is where you get, this is from being inside, being able to play inside of the slot over a smaller, either playing over a linebacker or playing over a nickel who's not going to be great coverage guys. Those are zone guys. Nickel guys are zone guys. And the middle of the field, which is the most vulnerable part of the field for defenses, that's where he always ends up catching the ball, in the middle of the field, over the top, underneath. He gets it in the middle. That's a huge advantage for a guy who's 6'2", 208. You can't even press him up. You can't even press him.
Exactly. So many ways to get a free release.
Look, his long of the year is only 59. For a receiver, look, in the postseason, he had a 70. That's the long.
Yeah, that's getting out there. That's getting out there.
Yeah, this is a deep shot right here. That's a deep shot that he took to the crib. That's a great catch. That's an explosive, obviously, but when you're a number one receiver at a number one spot, you usually see this is usually like the average big shot, 60 yards, but you're usually getting around here more often than not.
He ain't Randy Moss. Let's not.
Yeah, he ain't Randy Moss, but the cat is a hell of a player. And he is a smart player, so he's able to take advantage of cats. And that's, hey, I can't hate on him. I got love for him for that, because that's,
if you can
that's
really
real shit.
The middle of the field. Think about how Tom Brady made his bones all those years.
Wes Welker was a beast because they used him
killer slot
perfectly.
after killer slot, paired with one of the greatest tight ends we've seen. So, man, think about slots and tight ends. They're gonna mostly attack the middle of the field, between the halves.
Mm-hmm.
He rarely had elite, what we used to call flankers. The guy that's out wide, except for that, the 2 years or whatever he had with Randy.
So when he would just lob the ball down the field, and it would just be like, touchdown!
Go get it. That wasn't really what he was about. It was timing.
Oh man,
guys working the middle of the field.
Randy Moss, when he had Randy Moss, that was our rookie year, dude. That shit was not fair.
That was the 19-0 year or 19-1?
Yeah, 18-1. 18-1.
Sorry.
They were right. They were about to do a book called 19-0. Hey, that would have been but that was also the year that they were cheating.
Well,
think about that. That was the year that they were cheating and getting people signals. So a little bit of stain to it, regardless of how you look at it. But Chase Claypool saying he is a top 3 receiver in the league is not only ridiculous because statistically you're not even in the top 25 statistically, and you played the whole season.
Probably not in your own division. Well, maybe
you're not even in the top. You're at the bottom of your own division as a receiver.
In that division, no one for the Ravens.
The Ravens might. I mean, let's go. Let me take a look.
Just because their offense isn't set up for that. But
but I mean, he still might. I still might find a Raven receiver in here, which I do. Mark Andrews, tight end, 1,300 yards receiving.
Then of course,
Marquise Brown, 1,008 yards receiving.
Oh damn!
So you're not even the best. You're not even the best in your own division. You're not even in the top 3 in your own division.
Now they got Amari Cooper, same division. Jamar Chase, same division. So, I mean,
come on, bro. You should be making comments like that after the next season coming up when he balls out and goes for like 1,200, 1,300 yards receiving. Then you say that.
Now he could get 150 targets this year. Man, I don't know how their offense is going to be set up.
Don't nobody know.
I mean, he catches 100 of them.
He had 105 targets and he caught 59. So he was just above 50%, just barely above 50%. And you think you're in the top 3 in the league? The number 1 in the league was at 76%. The number 2 in the league was probably at 65%. 60%. I mean, Devontae Adams Devontae Adams actually had a better completion percentage than Cooper Kupp. Devontae Adams caught about 85% because he was 123 out of 169.
Yeah. Man, I don't want to disparage the young man too bad. It's good to have confidence.
Yeah, it's great to be confident, but just don't come out in public and say some shit that's going to get you laughed out of the room.
This is kind of crazy. But I mean, only he knows how hard he's working.
Yeah, hey, I hope he's working his ass off. I hope he takes us laughing at his ass as motivation. I hope he does.
And maybe he lives with Mitchell Trubisky and they toss balls to each other 23 hours a day. And they just know they're going to set the world on fire this year. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's.
But
I'm not putting my money on that. I'm not putting my money on anything with Mitch Trubisky's name attached to it.
But history tells me that ain't the case.
That is not the case. Look at this. The first reply he got on this, laugh my ass off. LMAOOOOO.
Oh wow.
And this is the funny part because you look at the people. People are ruthless, boy. They are ruthless on Twitter when they respond. Somebody said, baby, top 33.
Wow. He just forgot a 3.
Clown face. Oh, what does he even do? He thinks he's him. Oh. People just think I know they don't dies from mid. People ain't got. Yeah, okay, boom. Here we go. This sums it up. Top 3 receivers don't do this.
Yeah, not for a first down.
First down, 2-minute drill, no timeouts, clock's rolling, and you should be giving this ball to a referee right now so they can put the ball down. And you are sitting there doing all this shit. Look, you can already see the old lineman like, no.
I mean, he is Canadian, so maybe he doesn't really fully understand the rules yet.
People don't give a damn, boy. They're like, what? 30 minutes before saying that. He's drunk as hell. Look at him.
He got some good knees.
Ooh. I mean, he got some good quads holding him up.
Yeah. The whole lower body hurt right now looking at that shit.
People just laughing at this guy.
Not this time. No. No way. Not a chance. No.
I'm going to get a drink. Bye. I'm going to get a drink. Bye.
Oh.
All right, so maybe let's get in the top 20 next year, and then we'll see where we can go from there.
They laughing their ass off. The man just wanted to be involved. Oh, man. Anyways. So, as you can see there, Chase Claypool, top 3 wide receiver? Absolutely not. Not saying he's not a receiver that has potential to be good. He's had some good streaks in his time in Pittsburgh, but it's not all his fault that he's not a top 3 receiver. But the reality is, you're not. You're not. You're just not. You're just not. And it's not a knock on you.
It's a dependent position, but you're just not that guy.
You're just not that guy. You're not that guy. But anyways, let's move on here. Now, there is one quick story I wanted to jump into before we end for the evening here. This is just an update on Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner, WNBA superstar basketball player. She has, and let me pull this up real quick. She has been locked up in Russia for 4 months now. And she just had her first court appearance, which, I mean, look, I got questions about this whole situation, but I don't want, I can't ask him until she get back and we find out what the hell is going on because, let's be real here. I don't understand why the fuck you were in Russia. I don't care if they're basketball. Look, you got to understand, worst case scenario, you're going to get stuck out there. And even if you didn't have anything going on, they're going to make something up and they're going to keep you there because they don't like the country you come from. You're also a lesbian. They hate that out there. They don't play that shit out there. Why would you go play basketball out there? I prefer my safety. I cherish my safety over the money when it comes to going into uncharted territories.
Yeah, is the money that good?
The money couldn't be good enough for me to be like, you know what? And she got to go to trial. What do you think is going to happen here? Ooh, the WNBA star has been detained in Russia since February 17th after authorities at an airport said they found cannabis vape cartridges in her bag. And I'll be honest, that's just a damn shame.
You know what, officer? That's not even my bag.
I would have been like, that ain't mine. I would have just walked right off. That ain't mine.
No, I just got to carry it.
Man, I had a chance to bring cannabis back with me from Amsterdam, and I was just like, I'm not even rolling that dice. I don't give a damn because this ain't America, and I know what happens in America if you get caught with weed. I don't know what happens here if you get caught with weed. I'm not testing it. I don't know. But let's look through this real quick and then, to kind of finish this up because we've been saying we're going to keep you guys updated when we hear something on this. But this is a quick 38-second video here. Let's see what they're saying about it to start.
Video shows WNBA star Brittany Griner being escorted by police into court in handcuffs today for a preliminary hearing ahead of her trial. This comes 4 months after her arrest for cannabis possession. We just learned her trial is expected to begin this Friday. The Phoenix Mercury star has been detained in Russia since February the 17th after authorities in Moscow's airport said they found vape cartridges in her bag. Griner's arrest had gained international attention amid heightened tensions between the U.S. and Russia. She could face 10 years in prison if convicted.
Jeez.
Give your sensitive skin
I'm
even.
on everybody. But that might not even be a thing today. I don't know.
10 years for weed. Oh my goodness.
There's got to be somewhere else that these ladies can go play if the money is that bad here. There's got to be.
Oh my God.
Please believe.
I think I'm sad to say this, but I think she might be fucked.
Yeah, 10 years in the gulag.
Look what this shit says, my guy. She could face 10 years in prison if convicted on charges of large-scale transportation of drugs. Less than 1% of defendants in Russian criminal cases are acquitted, and acquittals can be overturned, according to the Associated Press.
Wait, what?
Less than 1% of defendants in Russian criminal cases are acquitted.
So you home chilling, you beat the case, and they come get your ass. What the fuck is this?
And acquittals can be overturned. They can be like, nah. You ain't innocent. You guilty. Change that. Change that ruling. 10 years. See you later.
Run that back. Dog.
So, you're not even in a situation that is. You're not even in a situation that is in any way favorable in even the best case scenario. It's still not favorable for you. Because they can just be like, before you get on the plane, literally as you get on the plane to go back to the U.S.,
change my mind.
They'd be like, hey, hold up real quick. Hold up.
Change my mind.
Back. Yo, they went ahead and they overturned your acquittal, yo. So looks like double jeopardy it is.
We go this cheap.
But
double or nothing.
Double or nothing. We're gonna run it back one more time. You cool with that? Oh, wow. But it's like, what the fuck, dude? That's not even how how can you get an acquittal overturned? Once you get found to be innocent, that's it. That should be it, right?
Who is doing the overturning? Does the prosecution
appeal?
Well,
Putin. They get Putin on a Skype and be like, "What you think about this one?"
What you think?
The American girl, the American woman, is she a lesbian? Oh no! Change it. Bring her back. 10 years hard labor.
This can't be.
This cannot be. In Russia, bear fucks you.
They might try to get her on the Russian basketball team.
Hey, they might give her a plea deal.
Hey,
in Russia, you play for us.
You play
and
for
you're
us.
Free.
Next Olympics, you play for us. We get the gold. You go home.
Yeah. If we get anything less than the gold, you get 10 years added to your sentence. Fuck. You realize it's going to be one American against 15 Americans, right? She's not going to be able to make y'all team that much better.
They're going to have to.
Says here,
they're going to have to after the game.
Man. Says here, we have no higher priority than safety and security of U.S. citizens overseas. A State Department spokesperson said when asked about Griner's court appearance and the announcement of her July 1 trial date. The Department of State has determined that the Russian Federation has wrongfully detained U.S. citizen Brittany Griner. The U.S. government will continue to provide appropriate support to Ms. Griner and her family, who will continue to press for her release. Yeah, she's kind of fucked. I hate to say it because it's a shame and she don't deserve it. She doesn't deserve it at all. I don't agree with this situation. But I don't even want to blame it on her because who would have knew that while you're there playing basketball, a war's about to pop off. So in the U.S. is going to be at button heads once again with Russia, and now you're a bargaining chip to them. You're not even what they would have let you probably slide on or made you pay a fine for 2 years ago, now, nah, we gonna use you because we got sanctions against us right now, son. We got sanctions. They're gonna have to lift some of these if they want to ever see you again. And that's what it's gonna boil down to. They're gonna use her as a bargaining chip to get sanctioned, to have some sanction relief. And the U.S. is not going to negotiate that because they got Russia on the ropes in regards to, I wouldn't say they got them. They don't have them on the ropes until countries stop buying oil from them. But they have the Russian economy in a very precarious situation because nobody will do business with them. And the only thing they can make money off is oil. And the EU is going to stop buying oil from them by the end of the year. So they won't even be getting no more oil money from Europe. So it's going to be ugly for them real soon. And they're going to need some of these sanctions to get lifted.
Or Asia, I guess.
Say what now?
It'll just be Asia then?
No, the Asia don't buy from them.
China,
I don't think. I think India has a big oil industry that's making bread, but Russia's is big, and it's also like the very vast majority of the money they make as a country, period. Like, think about this. California's GDP is like 4 times bigger than Russia. California.
Oh, yeah, it's not a big, it's a large country, but I mean, population isn't that big.
They don't make money.
Yeah.
They don't make money off anything but their oil because that's the biggest resource they have. And a lot of things that they have are imported. And really, and I think they're about to get hit with a default, a super default, which is going to be catastrophic
on their foreign debt.
So it's going to be ugly for them. And, all of these things geopolitically do not work in her favor, being that she's being detained by them. So, hopefully, I mean, I don't even know what to hope for with her situation because it doesn't look like there's much that can be done other than let the process play out in Russia. You try to make a back channel deal, but then we don't even have we don't have nothing to really deal with them with because
they got crack, first of all, and then I don't know what else. Well, surely we have something that they want. Always.
Well, they want them sanctions off, but it's not like it's not like China. Like the NBA has a relationship with the Chinese government through the business they do. Right. So if it was a situation where she was in China and she got detained, you got a whole different kind of angle that you can take to get her out, and it probably would have got done quickly. That happened with the Bell brothers when they were in China, and they got caught up in stuff. The NBA and the dad, they got it figured out pretty quick, and they were allowed to come back to the U.S. and they had to pay some money and they were out. Russia, no, nothing. Mother Russia wants blood. So we'll keep an eye out on that again as well, and hopefully we'll see some positive news come out about her at some point. I remember they were saying something about potentially letting her get out of there by potentially having the trial done by the 4th of July, which is such a coincidence that's when they would try and decide her fate. But not much to report on other than what we have now with her. So good luck to Brittany. I mean, she looks like she's she doesn't look like she's I don't know how she's being treated, but she didn't look in terrible shape. So there's that at least. And maybe, there'll be some more information brought out once we get to hear her side of it. But, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. So that is going to be it for us here on Lineman Life. We appreciate you guys for being in here with us. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And share this live stream with your friends. We'll be having we just got I'm setting up a TikTok account for us. So we're going to start having little short clips from our live streams on the TikTok. So keep an eye out for that. And we'll have our live stream clips put up. I try and get at least 1 or 2 of those up in between streams so that you guys can, see some of the more specific topics that we talk about, have them separated into short videos for you guys to watch. But other than that, we appreciate you guys for being in here with us. I'm your observer lineman Uche Nwaneri. This is My boy, my co-host, Justin Blaylock with me. We are Linemen of Lineman Life.
I promise I won't dance.
Appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all for being in here with us, and we will catch you all on the next live stream Wednesday. Peace.
Harris.